Hello everyone, welcome back to the Undercut. Today we're going to be talking about Franco Colapinto and Jacques Doohan. Let's just go through all the rumours, the speculation, everything you guys need to know today, because there has been a few reports suggesting that Colapinto has been signed to replace Jacques Doohan. Let's unpack it all.
The rumour is Jacques Doohan's contract is only for 6 races.
Yeah, which is mental.
Yeah, that is... It's quite harsh.
It's almost disrespectful.
It is disrespectful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't see Doohan making it past mid-season, to be fair. But 6 races is a bit harsh.
Yeah, we spoke about this a few times in the podcast, but because things just keep coming and coming, let's just unpack it all. So the first thing we got was Jacques Doohan only has a contract for five or six races, and this came out after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. This was before Colapinto signed as reserve driver, so that already put question marks over the trust that Alpine had in him, and sort of where they were at with Jacques Doohan. So we had rumors throughout last season that the likes of Carlos Sainz was going to sign with Alpine. Bottas was even a name thrown in the ring at one point. We knew Ocon was leaving, but it kind of seemed like Alpine didn't really have many options to sign drivers. So Doohan felt like a last-minute choice. So when Colapinto did end up coming in, it kind of felt like that's the driver who they wanted to sign, but because he was at Williams, they couldn't really get the deal done. So it's one of them situations that now Doohan is sort of under threat because of that.
Yeah, I mean, Doohan is under massive... I mean, we know how good Colapinto is. We saw last season. Phenomenal talent. Arguably one of them that you will want to put with Kimi Antonelli, that you want to put with Bortoletto. I think he's up there.
He's a fantastic talent, yeah. Almost
fantastic. But I mean, they've signed Jacques Doohan. I mean, if they have only signed him for 6 races, if he stinks out the gaff, it's big brain play by Alpine.
Yeah, big brain.
If he actually performs well, you've then got to probably sign him on for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And if he then starts to drop, then you've got the conundrum of Colapinto. It could be a messy one for Alpine this season with them two.
Yeah, and Alpine, what was more interesting is, I think people are speculating, saying, oh, well, Colapinto's coming in to replace him, but then other people are like, no, it's only rumours. Yeah, but Alpine already had 2 reserve drivers before they signed Colapinto. They had no reason to sign Colapinto. I imagine it cost them a lot of money to get him out of Williams as well. That was the reserve driver Williams seat. Yeah. They had no reason to do that unless they were going to give him a full-time contract.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I don't see doing if he lasts this season, it'll be only this season.
Yeah.
It will be Colapinto. It will be that sort of maybe they've got like the guarantee that Red Bull had with Liam Lawson last season.
Yeah.
Where he will race at least 6 races in a season.
Some weird ass contracts going on these days, you know.
Yeah. So I think we will see Colapinto this year. Yeah. I can't help but feel bad for Doohan, but I just know that he isn't good enough.
Yeah, he's sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's a part of the older generation of talents that came through a few years ago and is now surrounded by the other drivers that have got more hype. So, Bortoletto, Behrman, Antonelli, Franco Colapinto himself, Isaac Hadjar, all of these guys came from F2 last year.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's surrounded by these guys, and it's it's just not good for Doohan. It's just not looking good. And,
Yeah.
you know, he hasn't raced properly in a while. He's been the reserve driver for Alpine, but you just got to feel for him.
You do. I mean, Oliver Oates, there is a quote, and he is quoted in saying, like, he insists that Doohan will get a fair crack at that Alpine seat this season. Now, if the rumours are true that it is only a 5-6 races contract, that isn't a fair crack.
No.
So, he's either going to give him an actual fair crack and give him until, like, Hungary, which is a fair crack, I'll give him that. Or he's a hypocrite, Oliver Oates.
Yeah, and what kind of sort of deters me a little bit is the fact that Alpine are right in the mix with the midfield. Even being 1 or 2 tenths off Pierre Gasly is going to be the difference between 3 or 4 places. Potentially
it's
even
not like
5
you
places.
can be 1 or 2 tenths off Max Verstappen, is it?
Yeah, if you're 1 or 2 tenths off Max Verstappen, that's all right. You're still probably at the very least 8th.
Yeah.
If you're 1 or 2 tenths off Pierre Gasly, and Gasly's 12th, you could be last. You could be in.
Well, if Joe was in the mix still.
Well, yeah, if Joe was there. But if Logan as well. But if you're sorry, Logan, not sorry. If you are 1 or 2 tenths off Pierre Gasly, in the way that the midfield is shaping up last season, obviously we don't know this season because we haven't had testing, we haven't had the first race, we don't know what kind of cars they've built. But if anything last year is to go off this season, then we know that it's going to be close. 1 or 2 tenths is the difference between 12th and last place sometimes. So is it fair?
I mean,
is it fair?
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a real difficult one. And this could really affect Doohan's performance and his time in Formula 1, or it could spur him on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see when the season comes around, isn't it?
It depends how bad he wants it. And I am rooting for him because, you know, people say, British bias. But yeah, of course, British bias. I'm British, right? I support the British drivers, all right? He's British. I want him to do well because he's British. I do, right? But I just don't think he's good enough, unfortunately. I want him to do well, but I just don't think he will. It's just, I'm sorry, I don't think he will. He's just,
look, I want him to do well, and obviously there's going to be a slight British bias. There's always going to be a slight British bias.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, if he isn't good enough, get him out, because Formula 1 is for the 20 best drivers in the world.
Absolutely agree. If there's a better, Franco Colapinto, if he's proven himself to be a better driver, then he deserves that seat wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I think it'll happen. I mean, I wasn't convinced actually before our season predictions, but then
I was.
You were, and then more stuff kept coming out, and it's now looking very, very likely. So, thanks for watching the video. Let us know in the comments below. Will Colapinto replace Doohan? And we'll see you in the next video.